with a walking cane and how to fix them. And stay tuned to the end, because at the end I'm going to show you some combinations to practice, and they're related directly to what we're talking about, the 5 reasons, specifically related to the 5th one. So after the 5th reason, how to fix them, I'm going to show you some combinations you can practice so that you can fix the 5th reason that most people cannot use a walking cane for self-defense. We're going to jump right in. As we're talking about this, I want to show you some warm-ups in case you're just getting started or you haven't done it before. And the first one is related to this warm-up spin. And the first reason that you can't defend yourself with a walking cane is that you are spinning for the wrong reason, or you see other people spinning and you don't understand the reason. I see this reason is very common all the time with spinning weapons. And people will say, if they're familiar with like the long martial arts staff, they'll say, you know, spinning is wrong. You'll never spin. You don't spin for self-defense. And they are right. But then they go and they dismiss the entire purpose of spinning, or say there's no value in spinning. Oh, you're spinning, that's worthless. So the first reason that your martial arts won't work or your self-defense with the cane won't work is that you don't understand the reason that you're spinning, or somebody who's watching you really doesn't understand it. And even though I don't care whether they understand it or not, as long as you understand it, you have to know that spinning is conditioning the body. Spinning is not necessarily a self-defense move, especially you get into some of this fancy stuff that you do here. You're going around, you're not going to do that, dancing around and prancing around and doing all that stuff. You can, but that's not the purpose of spinning. The first reason is to understand, fixing that reason, shift your thinking from spinning as a self-defense move, keeping them back. That's not it. It's to get your heart rate up. It's to build situational awareness or cross-body motion with the staff or the cane. I have the staff on the brain today. But we got the cane coming across the body. We're starting to tie the right side, the left side together. It's doing all this stuff in the brain that's making it more natural for you to use this weapon, to understand where it moves, space, timing, distance. And you're building up your cardiovascular fitness, becoming fighting fit while developing callus in your hands, getting a feel for it so you can slide it in, slide it up, put it in any position that you need to for fighting for self-defense. So understanding spinning, the first thing that most people don't understand when they see it for the first time, they look at this spinning and they say, oh, they're twirling that cane. Why would they twirl that walking cane? That's not a martial art. That's not going to be practical for self-defense. And then they turn the channel, they drop out. They don't even consider it. So that's the first mistake. The first reason why cane self-defense won't work is when people don't understand that this spin is solely for the purpose of getting the heart rate up, building muscle, building speed, disguising repetition. Think of it this way. It's like a boxer jumping a rope. It's like a boxer hitting the bags. The boxer doesn't take any of that into the ring with him. When the boxer faces another boxer, it's a pair of gloves, a pair of trunks, maybe some protective gear, and then that's it. Blood, sweat, and tears. The rest of it is leather on skin, right? That's fighting in the ring for boxing. But in practice, he's jumping the rope. He's working on timing. He's working on his balance. He's conditioning the legs, conditioning the heart and the lungs. That's what all of this spinning is for. So now that we got number 1 out of the way, number 2, the reason that cane self-defense is never going to work for you is when you go super fancy and you're learning all of these joint locks and pressure points and takedowns and twists, and then you have to hold it here. The guy's got to throw the punch at exactly the right angle and the right speed so you can block, twist, spin, take him to the ground, or they throw the kick and you're going to move 45 degrees to the right, turn, lift, spin. It's the fancy. Fancy doesn't work in self-defense. Fancy works when your partner, think of Aikido, and this is not against Aikido, or think of Wing Chun. Hubad Lubad, that's a very popular martial art or application of hand trapping and going back and forth, parrying and blocking, and it's really cool and it's really fun, especially when your partner knows how to feed. There's the key word. They know how to feed the attack. And then you get in there and you're doing all kinds of fancy stuff, joint locks, pressure points. A lot of the first application of the combat cane or cane self-defense came from Hapkido cane, came from Kung Fu cane, and then they call it Cane Fu. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. But that works really well when you have 2 seasoned martial artists working together with a martial arts cane. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. That means it works especially well, almost like a choreographed dance, like a stunt scene from a movie. But you're looking for what's going to work on the street. Street self-defense. You're walking down. Maybe you're not as strong as you used to be. Maybe you're not as fast as you used to be. Maybe you really need the cane, or you even need two for self-defense. You need to be able to hit them fast, up in the groin, right through the face, down on top, straight through the side. Reach up, rake them. You don't need to get fancy. So when it's too fancy, your cane self-defense is never going to work. So the solution for number two is too fancy. The reason why cane self-defense doesn't work for you is when you get too fancy from the start. Now learn the fancy stuff later. It's more for like esoteric reasons, more for aesthetic reasons, for the way it looks and the way it feels and the way it fills you up with all this cool information. At the very beginning though, learn how to go into the self-defense situation, immediate, direct, and explosive. Those three things, immediate, direct, and explosive, are the solution to fancy. Fancy might work, but fancy joint locks, pressure points, takedowns, all the twists and turns and spins that you see people who are very experienced with a combat cane or with cane self-defense like a Hapkido cane do, think about the opposite, which is up into the middle of the groin, right? Stick it right between his legs for self-defense. Lift him off the ground. Stick it right through his eyes, his nose, his throat for self-defense. Go straight in. That immediate, direct, and explosive, immediate means no hesitation, and we're going to get into that. Direct means the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. I know you've heard that, right? Shortest distance between two. I don't want to be, well, I don't even know how to make it fancy anymore, because I like to just go straight in and bam, in any situation, straight. I go straight first, and then we go into all of the other permutations therein. All the other things that you can do will all work. And start with immediate, direct, and explosive. So the first reason, just for review, spinning for the wrong reason. People see spinning, and I'm not saying you're spinning for the wrong reason. I'm saying somebody who's new to cane self-defense might see the spinning and misunderstand and think that cane spinning is some fancy application of self-defense, and that you have to learn how to kind of jog in place, prance about. No offense, I'm not trying to be offensive. It's just the picture that comes into my head is of somebody, you know, kind of doing a little, and they're spinning, they're going around, and you know, and I do that too, but not for self-defense. I do that to condition the body, to build speed, strength, power, timing and distance, proprioception. Get the callus in the hand so that when I need to, it slides up in any position that I need it to be, and I have a strong grip. That's the purpose for spinning. So people dismiss it when they see the spinning. They say, that's not it. Number two, he said it got too fancy. The solution is, or the fix for that is, keep it simple. Immediate, direct, and explosive. What's the fastest thing that you can do with the most devastating power for self-defense in the straight line, straightest line as possible? That's what we want. Number three, weak strikes. The third reason that self-defense, cane self-defense isn't going to work for you is your strikes are not committed. They're too weak. I want you to think of swinging for the fences. Every strike you get, that might be your last chance to end that fight. So if you can go through the target, if you can smash through every single strike, it's like swinging for the fences. And I wouldn't say that if this were a competitive match. If you were a boxer and you had 11 rounds, 12 rounds, and you know, right? You've got to learn how to pace yourself. You have to keep it, you know, bam, 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 then boom, 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 bam, then knockout. And then the bell rings, last 10 seconds, last 30 seconds, go all in. This is not a competitive match. That's the big mistake that I see a lot of times in self-defense that's not practical, is that it mimics too much a fight. And this is not a fight being a competitive event in the ring, in the octagon, on the mats. That's not what this is. This is, if I can stop them with one, if this up between the groin is enough to end it, that's where I want to stop. I don't want to take chances. I don't know what he's got. I don't know if there's 3 or 4 other people coming. I don't know what cameras are watching, and can be misinterpreted for my reaction. And they say, well, you know, you look like you were going out looking for a fight. I don't want to see any of that. I want to be able to, true story, I talked to a professional, he's a person who professionally protects other people. You know, people who need it, you know, celebrities, the wealthy, all that kind of stuff. And he says, you know, his desire would be, if someone doesn't let go of his client or his principal, that, you know, he maybe just breaks a finger. And they're off in the car, they're down the street before the person even realized that it happened. Because they don't want all the cameras and the media seeing it. They don't want the lawsuits. They don't want it to be a big thing. I'm going to tell you 2, 3 times firmly, let go. And then I'm going to, you know, and the whole purpose there is not to be vicious and mean. It's to be effective. And that's what I want. For you, self-defense, if you're learning cane for self-defense, it's got to be effective, or what's the point? Thank you, John. I appreciate you joining as a member. Now this cane right here, that brings me to what I wanted to show you. This cane. This is one of my favorite training canes. It's rattan. It works really fast. It allows you to move. If you're not as strong as you used to be, it's a good starting point. You can do all the same things. It's extremely durable. And I'm going to be giving one of these away next month in May to somebody who's a member. So those of you who are becoming members, either here or Patreon, or you go to my website, pasquinelli.com, go to the bottom, sign up. There's a little send me a note or send me a message kind of thing. Join the mailing list, and then you'll be entered. And I'm going to give one of these away. I'll pay for shipping for everything. This is the rattan training cane. Rattan's a grass. It's just extremely hard weight. Or strong. All right, so weak strikes. Number 3, third reason why your self-defense, cane self-defense doesn't work is there's no follow through every single strike. So that means, let's say for example, you're practicing this angular strike from the shoulder across the body. You're going to do this for 30 seconds. And as you go along, you're going to start going faster and faster and harder and hitting until you're putting pressure and stress on this, my grip right here. And the whole purpose of, you know, you want the hardest part to come in training. You don't want the hardest part to come on the street when you're trying to defend yourself. You want to know already what it feels like to go all in on all those strikes. And then you want to make mental anchors so that in your mind, and that comes a little bit later too, that comes number 5, when we talk about the 5th reason why your self-defense doesn't work. We're going to go over it again. But having a mental anchor allows you to flip that switch that says, back up, I'll defend my... And then when you go in, and you're trying to swing. You're swinging for the fences every single time. You're not trying to win a fight. You're not trying to win a match. You're not trying to win the most points. You're trying to end it with every single strike for self-defense. That's your right. You're not going out looking for a fight, but you have every right to defend yourself against one attacker, multiple attackers, somebody with a knife, whatever it is. All you have is this big long piece of wood, this piece of oak that goes through. By the way, this is the Cane Master's cane. If you want to see the rattan cane or this cane, the links are in the description below. All right, number 4, and we'll review them again, is don't drink the Kool-Aid. The fourth reason that your cane self-defense won't work for you and how to fix it is that too often, and those of you who've been around in martial arts for a long time, you know this for a fact. You've experienced, you've lived it. The longer you've been in martial arts, the longer you've lived it. And certain styles are worse than others. But there's a dogma. It's something that says, only these things work, nothing else works. Our style is the best style. Our one style to beat all styles. That's actually a phrase that comes out of some things. And I'm not going to name names because I think all martial arts, either schools or styles or whatever, or some instructors have been guilty of it at one time or another. This is all you have to learn. You don't have to learn this. For example, all the striking martial arts, the karate guys, the taekwondo guys, the tang soo do guys, which is just Korean karate, and the kung fu guys, and all these guys forever, all the strikers, and kimpo guys, kyokushin, perfect. I'm not naming them as a bad thing because we all did it, but we make these big knuckles, right? We punch the makawara, the kyongo is what the Koreans call it, the drum. You start punching that thing, you get thicker, callous. Your hands, your knuckles all get bigger. Your hands get bigger. Your wrists get bigger. That's how this happened. Growing up, doing martial arts, boom, with this belief in your mind that you're just boom, You're going to have such devastating power in one punch. You're going to have the iron fist. You're going to put the di da jiao, that stuff that all the Chinese guys and the Filipino martial arts guys, they rub into their knuckles and their skin to make the bone marrow change. That's all real. It's all real stuff. It does work. But then the Gracies came along and they started choking everybody out. They literally went to, you can look it up on YouTube, old school Gracies going around to tournaments, finding these karate guys, and they really believed it. I believed it. Back in the day, in the 80s and 90s, we believed, and then way before that, I got to register my weapons or my hands. Remember this? This is a real thing. People really believe you had to register your hands as a weapon at the local county courthouse or the city hall because you're a karateka, you're a karate master, and you're going to go out, you're going to kill people with one punch. And we really believed that. And then the Gracies came along. And we threw those one punches, those knockout, break the jaw. Remember Masoyama Kyokushin? He would grab the bull by the horn and crack it off and then smash the bull and kill it. Real story, he really did that. Because and there's always there's more to how they do that. But he really was a tough dude. I'm not taking back. I mean, the real guy really was cracking off bulls' horns in South America, Central America, and crack in the middle of their skull with his knife hand, Shudo strike. And that's a real thing. But then the Gracies kind of wave in and they kind of kick a little bit, and then they close the gap and they lock the guy's arms, take him to the ground, and they either arm bar him or they choke him out. And then the guy popped up off the ground when he wakes up. And I'm laughing because it didn't happen to me personally, but it could have because I was that same arrogant person. Not arrogant, I drank the Kool-Aid. That's number 4. We drank the Kool-Aid. We believe we're on Dogma. And you get married to this idea that there's only one way to do it. And that's all about technique, right? The same thing's true with this. You have to go from here to here. You have to go here, right? When you train, no, you can only have this side out. It only can be like this. And then, or no, it can only be like this, or whatever it is. And then you train just those techniques, but you don't understand principles of self-defense. This is not martial arts in the respect that you're learning kata. You can, or that you're doing it for some Zen mind self-improvement. You can, but that's not the purpose. The purpose is some stranger, some weirdo, somebody comes. You're not earning a belt. You probably could. I don't have them, but the guy's coming up. He's trying to take something from you, your stuff, your life, your belief system, your loved one, something, right? And all you have is a giant piece of oak, this cane master's cane. All you have is this cane master's cane. You say, back up, buddy. I'll defend myself. You don't have to like me, but you can't touch me. Bam, and striking. Or maybe it's here. Remember my favorite one? Just up through the groin. They catch you off guard. They come running up just real quick. But it depends on what's the situation, what's happening. Principles of self-defense when it comes to cane, situational awareness was principle number 1 of all self-defense. Pay attention to what's happening right now as it's happening. Number 2, you have to, after you're paying attention to what's happening around you, you then have to get in a better position. Put this stick that doesn't bleed. The stick doesn't bleed. The stick isn't going to break as easily as your bones. The stick isn't going to it's not going to get hurt. It doesn't have a nose it's going to smash. That cartilage gets twisted. Its eye isn't going to get popped and bloody and stuck out. Or, right? Teeth shoved down his throat. The stick. Let the stick do the work. Put the stick between you and the threat, and then thrust, right? Thrust, jab, rake, smash, smash. Let the stick do the work. But those are the principles. You have to ask yourself, what are the targets that you can remove or destroy? And Sensei Emmett told me that today he was interviewing Tim Larkin. And if you guys don't follow Tim Larkin yet, please go follow Tim Larkin. I've never met the man. I've read his book, though, and I've watched a whole bunch of his podcasts back in the day, and he's bringing them back, or his talks, or whatever they are. And so Tim Larkin has this idea. He talks target acquisition. What are the targets you can remove or destroy? Think of it this way. His eyesight, his ability to see, temporarily or permanently. Breathe through his nose, teeth, mouth, Smash the nose, send the teeth down the throat, right? Permanently, through the throat. Solar plexus, permanently or temporarily. The groin, his ability to stand up. That cartilage in the knee, or the femur, or the lower part of the leg. Tibia. Whatever it is, right? The joints. I saw recently, Master Gary Hernandez had he was using his new Bob Versa thing, whatever it's called. I looked that up. Master Hernandez, you must be a millionaire. I'm just joking. It's too expensive for me right now. Anyway, I saw it and I thought, oh, I got to get one of those. And then I saw the price and I thought, I got to get one of those in a little bit. So I'm here. Master Hernandez, Gary Hernandez was talking a lot about smashing, going for joints. That's a hard piece of wood. That's going to do that. That's going to remove that. But if you shift, so number 4 is all about don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't get stuck in thinking about there's only one way to do it. There's only one level of technique. There's only one kind of technique. It's not true. It might be a pit bull off the chain or 2 of them, 3. My wife sent me a text on last Friday. She was supposed to do a certain thing and she said, hey, can't do this thing. I got to go out to the friend's house. 3 dogs just attacked the dogs and got in the house and went after the chickens. They have chickens. And it's a real thing. And she said her friend said she was inside the house and she and her partner were in there thinking, is this it for us? And he's like, do I have to, put them down? Because it's a real thing that the dogs have that pit pack mentality when they've been abused or not raised right, and they go around looking for things to rip. And all of a sudden, that's you. You happen to walk. Now, you've trained joint locks, pressure points, takedowns, all the chokes, all the holds, all the things with the cane, and then the dog latches onto your thigh or onto your neck. You need to have an answer for that. And what's the answer? Principles. Principles over techniques. Principles will save your life. Techniques will get you killed. That comes from Tim Larkin. I believe it was either him or Pat Mack. But one of the 2 said it. From here, they probably both said it. From here, then the attack's down here. Go for the nose. Go for the eyes. Stick it right in the jaw and shove. That's a real technique. Twist it. Watch what happens. For self-defense, your ability to defend yourself, odds go way up when you learn how to do those things and you shift from just thinking about this is the only thing that works. Master so-and-so said this. You didn't say this. Master so-and-so said it. And you're like, well, true story. And I know I told myself, I'm not going to digress in this video. I have to. I don't have to. I want to. I took over a martial arts school in Ohio years ago, and I wore black uniform. And the other instructor was a Korean instructor, but had very little experience. But he was Korean, so he looked the part. I had a lot of experience, but I wasn't Korean, so I didn't look the part. And one of the students who had been with him for a while, who was very fond of him, said to me, you're not Korean, you're not, and I'm like, it's okay, I've been there, and my instructors are, but then she said, well, why are you wearing black? And I said, well, we wear black, I like black, it's an option, it's slimming, makes me look a little bit, I'm a big guy, makes me look better. And she said, well, Master Kim doesn't like black uniforms. She said, only bad guys wear black. And I said, well, I saw that movie with Chuck Norris as a kid. Only good guys wear black. Or maybe good guys wear black. You guys have probably seen that because some of you are older as me. And she's like, well, Master Kim doesn't like Chuck Norris. And I said, well, maybe Chuck Norris doesn't like Master Kim. Probably. He's never heard of him. So, I'm going to get the class. Are you coming with me or not? She became a student. She loved me. And not loved me. She learned a lot from me in the end. She got past the fact that I was wearing all black. Anyway, number 5. My point is don't drink the Kool-Aid. I don't care who made it, how much sugar's in it. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Dogma just never works for anybody. Yeah, good guys wear black. I love Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris does a lot of stuff for the kids. I've been to his programs. When I started a nonprofit in Ohio, I flew down to Houston and saw, he's got 30 schools down there. He's paying for out of his pocket. Him and George Bush, the one that just passed, George Bush Sr., and their wife, and they used to bring the kids out and they take the belt test at the Bush Ranch there outside of Houston. They're doing good stuff down there. That's why I like Chuck Norris. That and all the cool movies he made. All right, number 5. Last reason why you can't defend yourself with a walking cane and how to fix it is that you hesitate. You hesitate too much. And I've seen it so much, but I've also been trained. I've had professional training through the military and through other courses that I've taken. I've had training, intentional training, and this is what I want to explain to you how you can fix it, is that when you start to think too much, just a momentary lapse of getting inside your head, let me say it this way, because this might make sense to you. Time feeds fear. The longer you wait to take action on something that needs action, almost everything needs action, by the way, but especially life or death, self-defense situation needs immediate, direct, explosive action. We talked about that in number 3, weak strikes. You need immediate, direct, explosive. You need action. But the longer you wait, the bigger the fear grows in your head. It's just how life works. That's true in anything. Anything that you avoid doing becomes bigger and bigger and badder and uglier and nastier the longer you let it. Take immediate action. As soon as you take action, kills it. Action kills fear. Write that down. Get the tattoo. Make that your daily mantra. Action kills fear. Action kills fear. Action kills fear, right? Action kills laziness. Action kills anything. Kills it all. But time feeds fear. You want to get rid of fear? Don't hesitate. So you have to train hesitation out. The idea that, the guy's closing the distance and you're thinking, what technique? What should I do? What was I supposed to do? The longer he's on top of you. He's got the knife. You're done. He's already, 12, 13, 15, 58 times. They're counting them up on the table at the end. It's in the newspaper as a footnote. The guy hesitated, 72 stab wounds. So immediately, bam, you have to train it out. And the only way to train it out is this idea that I talk about all the time: crawl, walk, run. Crawl, walk, run. And this is where the combos are going to come in. We're going to start the combos right now, get to them, get them out of the way, because I wanted you to see, I came up with 5 combos that I've been teaching my in-person students and my virtual students when I do these one-on-ones through the internet, like we're doing now, but just you and me. And you just train it out. Slow, smooth is fast. Crawl, walk, run. It's the idea, and you have to really slow yourself down. That's the hardest part. You're going to learn it. You're going to want to go really fast, and you're going to think that that's the training the hesitation out. What's happening is your mind is making it go fast because you want to get out of the discomfort of an uncomfortable move or a move that you don't feel so good at. What I really want you to do is I want you to go super slow motion, thinking about proper stance. And someone asked me this over the weekend, what's the stance for the cane? And I mentioned I had been to one of my Patreon members said, what's the proper stance of the cane? And I said, I went to this combat course with this guy named Pat McNamara. And if you don't know who Pat McNamara is, look him up. Oh, thank you so much, Fistful Podcast. Really appreciate that for becoming a member. But I went to Pat McNamara's course. It was an amazing course. This guy is cutting edge. He was former CAG, or there was a TV show called The Unit. Days past, anybody ever seen The Unit? And they call the unit the Delta Force, which is one of the functions of Special Forces. So you get into Special Forces. You don't have to be in Special Forces. You can be a civilian and try out for Delta Force. But it's really hard. And it's real secretive about who gets in there. They're basically, those are the direct action guys. Those are the ones who rescue the president. If the president himself or herself were to be captured like Snake Plissken and Escape from New York, if the president himself or herself were taken hostage somewhere, or a dignitary or a group of people or whatever, they send in either SEAL Team 6 or, and they're both considered Tier 1 operators. So regular SEALs, regular Special Forces, regular Marine Corps, Force Recon, Rangers, those are Tier 2. And people see those all the time and think, wow, those dudes are pretty high speed. Tier 1, it's above that. And that's what this guy, Pat McNamara, did. Anyway, this guy, he shoots. He has the most incredible combat tactical shooting course. And I went to this course for several days, and the question of stance keeps coming up. What do you do with your feet? Because that's a big part of the different positions that people learn over the years of how to be more effective as a combat shooter, especially if you're what they call a door kicker, right? You have to be able to clear a room very quickly. And he says, I forget his quote. He's got a video where he talks about it, but in person, he basically said, stand up, get your feet under your body, and your body knows what to do. Your body naturally knows what to do. This is the point of most self-defense. This is what most people have to get to. Get into the right mindset. The body's going to follow you with training. So, in the question of what are your feet supposed to do, just get them under your body, about as wide as your shoulder. The wider you go, the lower your center of gravity is. If you have a low center of gravity, to move forward or to move back, you have to first come up. That takes time. That slows you down. So too wide is slow. See how my head's here? I have to come up here in order to move forward. Unless you're doing some fancy martial arts thing that you've trained 30 years for. But for the most part, this is always going to be, the wider your stance, the slower you're going to be. You want to have a natural stance, just feet on your body. And if you have one foot in front of the other, never cross your feet. Anytime you cross your feet, if you move back too fast, you just trip yourself. If you move forward too fast, you just trip yourself. So learn how to, and you can practice that. That's the crawl, walk, run. So number 5, too much hesitation, overthinking, it's going to get you killed. We're going to train that out now with these combinations. The first combination, and these, remember, don't drink the Kool-Aid. These are not by, you don't have to even do combinations, but by doing them, this goes back to Marine Corps hand-to-hand combat. When I was in the Marine Corps, boot camp was longer than it is now, I think, or maybe it's around the same time, but it was structured a little bit differently. But there was a lot of hand-to-hand combat. Now they have the whole MAC wrap or whatever it's called, MRAP, where they have like a belt system. But it was like 10 or 11 hand-to-hand scenarios, and they were in response to what the Soviets were doing back when communism was a bad thing, and they wanted to roll over us. They still do. They live in a different part of the world. They live back there too. Anyway, get off track. So you learn specific things to do in response to several, a grab from behind, a bear hug, a neck, hold, someone holding you like this, and you did it over and over and over. Yes, so they became automatic, and then you did it without thinking. And then as a policeman in the Marine Corps, when I became a military policeman, law enforcement, I would see, and all of us would see, you'd go into a bar fight, and you'd see a guy on the ground with his grape stomped. That's a Marine Corps term from all you old Marines out there. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about, where someone grabbed him in a specific way, and without thinking about it, because he was half out of his mind, he turned, did this, did that, smash, grab, twist, and then stomp the grape. That was the last part. And the guy on the ground, severely injured, has to be hospitalized. In some cases, it never happened when I was there, but severe injuries, because guys did it without hesitation, without thinking. So you have to train out the hesitation. And the purpose for teaching a Marine how to do that, or a military person how to do that, is for life or death situations, which is what we're talking about too when it comes to self-defense. That's why this is not martial arts. This is not boxing. This is not karate. This is not taekwondo. This is not for kids. This is for grown men and women who can make rational decisions on the right way to properly prepare to defend yourself. All right, first combination, you're going to have the hook out. So I'm going to say either hook out or hook in. And by hook, I mean crook. So it's either facing away from you or facing behind you. The first one is going to be facing away from you, and you're going to do this right hand, left hand, equal numbers of times. Don't overthink it. Set a timer if you have to, or count down in your head, or do it until you feel like you're sweaty and you're hot and you're getting a good workout. So from here, the idea is that they've closed the distance faster than you realized. You were practicing situational awareness, but you got distracted, or they were hiding or something. All of a sudden, they're right here, coming up into your face, and you're going to lift. This is that one where your wrist is twisting up, and at the same time, your arm is coming up here. So you have the leverage of this to this, which is very powerful, just that motion, but you're increasing the speed by also increasing it this way. So from here, it comes straight up, and then I want you to take the other hand on it, stepping forward and thrust. And as you do this, we're going to go back to number 4, which is getting out of your dogma. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Shift from technique to principles and go to target acquisition training as suggested by luminaries in the industry. Thank you, Sensei Emmett, for becoming a member. I really appreciate it. Becoming Tim Larkin. Tim Larkin says, follow his advice because he knows what he's talking about. We're going to go groin, face, and then I'm going to let go of this hand, and I'm going to bring this big hook, this big crook, this big knuckle, just straight through the side of their head. I'm going to say head or brain. I'm going to smash them in the brain. So from here, you're practicing crawl, walk, run, slowly, 2, 3. And then change from side to side. I always like to do that. Groin, eyes, ear. And the other side, groin, chest, eye, or whatever you want to say, but use a specific target. Imagine that you're striking the eye. Imagine that you're striking the head. Thank you, Sensei. I really appreciate that. Imagine you're striking that neck, shutting off the brain, turn the lights out. End the fight as soon as possible. That goes back to number 3. Ending the fight as fast as you can. Immediate, direct, explosive. No follow through in your strikes. This is going to help you practice follow through. This is going to solve all 5 reasons why you can't defend yourself with a walking cane. This is the solution. Practice these combinations, crawl, walk, run. So again, it's groin, face, coming through the other side. You think of it, it's like a wrist flick, it's a thrusting motion, and it's a backhand strike, backhand angular strike. If you want to think of it in those terms. Practice in those terms and then start to shift your mind and visualize for self-defense. Visualize what would happen if you were to hit someone here and you would make contact. You might lift them off the ground a little bit, and then right through the eyes, what would happen to their face, and then coming through and smashing maybe right here on the neck or the clavicle, trying to end that fight. And that's your first combination. As you do it and you get more comfortable with it, start to go a little faster. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Take your time. Make sure that all your strikes are here in the center line. You're coming through the center. That means when you first start, a lot of times this is all wobbly. It comes like this, and then it comes like, and it's all over the place. That's normal. That's okay. That's a good place to start because at least you start. But then use like a camera or use a mirror. Use a line, tape to the wall or a tree as your practice. Or if you have it, use a bag. Strike. Strike. So that's the first one. The first combination is that groin strike, thrust through the face, backhand through the temple or the neck, or rake that right across the chest. Number 2, also in the hook out. You're going to start from what I call a better position. Now this goes back to situational awareness, which is part of not drinking the Kool-Aid, thinking about principles over techniques. Principle number 1 of self-defense, situational awareness. See it before it's coming. See the threat. Know what's happening around you all the time as much as possible. Number 2, when you know the threat's there, get in a better position. Put that stick between you and the threat. That cane doesn't bleed. It's not going to break that easily. It doesn't have any feelings like your nose and your eyes and your teeth and your throat do. So let that do the work. Put that between you and the threat. Close off their line of sight so they have to look around it just to see you, to try to hit you with something. And then from here, you're going to thrust. And then while you're out, I want you to rake. You're going to use this hard. See that bevel right there on this Cane Master's cane? By the way, the Cane Master's cane is in the link below, the first link. I mean, this is going to rip the teeth out. It's going to rip the nose out. This is very effective at self-defense. So the second combination that you're going to train hesitation out of yourself. You've got to, visualizing it is going to help you get rid of the hesitation. Get in a better position. So from here, if I'm in a neutral position, meaning both feet are just under my body, I can either step back, stepping back away from, let's say this is the threat, create some distance, or if you're an aggressive person in your self-defense, step in. Stepping in takes away some of their opportunity to strike you the same way. So from here, thrust. And the idea, again, use target acquisition, say nose, eyes, teeth, throat. So from here, nose. And then this raking motion. You just hit them, that pushes them back a little bit. Try to picture that pushback and then rake, right? It's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a hard motion, a fast motion. It's an effective motion. And then from there, take your hand right behind that crook, and it's almost like you're going to do a punch with that right hand or the other hand from the long side, and that's going to swing it through head, which is basically going to be a knockout strike because you're going to hit them here or neck. Strike that process that drops all the blood out of the brain, boom, lights out. So from here again, better position, thrust, rake, smash, change hand position. Make sure the crook is facing the threat. Step in or back, but get the cane between you and the threat. Better position, thrust, or think nose, teeth, eyes, and then think ear. Can you imagine? Or that back there, that mandibular joint, or the neck, or the skin on the chest, the muscles, the pectorals popping off. I mean, that's a pretty vicious bite, right? And then from here, and this is all self-defense. From here, that horizontal strike coming straight across, striking here, striking here, striking here, striking here, breaking the arm. And slow is smooth, smooth is fast has never been more true. When you're trying to train the hesitation out and you want it to be, and trust me, it's only going to take a few sessions of you training these combinations before these become just ingrained into your body, your muscle memory. And you're going to become stronger for it. You're going to become faster for it at every age. And one more and, all of these can be done from sitting in a chair. You might be chair bound, or you might be sitting in a chair at the park on the bench. You might be waiting for a train. You might be waiting for a bus, waiting for your airplane, because in most places you can take this with you through the airport onto the plane. You might be sitting and the threat's coming here, and you have to thrust and rake and strike. And it all works if you're standing or sitting. It's the best thing about cane self-defense. You can take it everywhere you go, and it works in all situations if you shift from technique to principle. Number 3, we're going to turn the hook back just because I want to show you some variety. There are a million combinations. You'll make these up. Once you do a few of mine, you'll come up with your own. So you have these here. From here, I want you to get into a better position. Now you've got that long piece of oak between you and the threat. You see that? Think if they have a knife, their knife blade, maybe 9, 12, 10 inches, whatever it is, even a machete, it's still only this long, 16 inches, 18 inches. This here, this is 36 to 38 inches. You have a reach advantage with a big, hard piece of oak that doesn't bleed. They're not gonna cut right through that, right? That's a very hard piece of wood. So you have this position between me and the threat. Again, I'm gonna interrupt their line of sight, so they have to look around to try to get in, close the distance, and hit me. First thing you're gonna do is thrust, and then here, I want you to bring it to your shoulder, or to your upper arm, and bring your hand here, guarding your head, and around to this shoulder. And here's the reason why you're gonna do this. If you are on that bus or plane or train, or you're sitting, or there's a tree above, you don't wanna get it stuck up there. Plus, anytime you strike in this position where you're coming down, they can easily, instinctively stop that swing. But from here, bringing it forward, from here, bringing it forward is a stronger, harder, faster strike. So I'm gonna show you how to train that into your muscle memory. Stepping into the protected position or away, as long as the cane's between you and the threat, you're going to thrust straight, bring it to the opposite shoulder, right hand, left shoulder, let it ride across the back into the same shoulder, right hand, right shoulder, bring it through, and then bring it back to that same arm and slide it around to the other side. So now you're just basically practicing these strikes coming up from the shoulder forward and down with the same arc instead of overhead. So from here, thrust, around, and then switch hands. Better position, thrust, bring it around, bring it back around, switch positions, thrust, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Crawl, walk, run. Go as slowly as you can at the beginning to make sure you are getting it here, touching, sliding around here. And don't go so fast that you're starting to cut corners. I don't want you to be smooth. I don't want you to be fast. I know you will be. That comes with time. At the beginning, I want you to be clean and all your techniques as clean as you can so that you get the most value and benefit. I want you to build power strength through the whole range of motion, just like a boxer does. Like Mike Tyson had the most power here in the knockout. It's because he hit those bags, boom, and he built that dense muscle, explosive muscle. You're gonna have that too. And then wherever you hit them, you're gonna be able to effectively defend yourself because slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Crawl, walk, run. So go that. The fourth one, same thing. Hands up, better position. Oh, I almost missed this one. This is close combat. This is close quarters combat. This is what happens if they're right in your face and you didn't see it coming. Your crook is facing back, not facing forward, and all of a sudden they're here. Either their hands are on you or they're screaming in your face, they're pushing you. From here, you're still gonna get your hands up. Now from here, I just bring my hands up, and then I'm gonna bring this between the two of us, between me and the threat. Now, ideally, and I wanna bring this in close so you can really see this. I wish I had that bob that Master Hernandez was using. Some of you guys saw that video, I'm sure. And he's got this really cool thing, and it's got a head on it, right? So I can show you what happens to the guy's head. We'll get one of those eventually. From here, let's say this is his nose, his eyes, his face, his mouth. Let's make him taller. He's at least as tall as I am, almost. From here, his hands are even on you, right? Your hands come up here and you're gonna bring it down between the two of you. Now, if his hands are here on your body, all of a sudden, and if you've done anything with nerves, joint locks, pressure points, you know there are a bunch of nerves right there. And you're just gonna pull that down, right? And when that does, that's going to force him into a compromised position. But first, good to see you too, Fed. You're gonna bring it down his face. Pull his glasses off if he wears glasses. Remove his nose. Pull a couple teeth out, right? And then when you get to the hands, and he pulls down like this, thrust right through his throat. Eyes, nose, mouth for self-defense. This is close quarters combat. This is what happens if, you still bring your can up, back up, buddy, and then you strike, maybe he hits you back. That's a good thing. But you strike, yeah, we were just talking about that. Master Gary Hernandez just had one in his video. I was very jealous. I thought, I got to get one of those. But I'm going to strike here, push them, and then give myself some distance and just straight down the middle. Simple as that. Think of turn off that computer, right? His operating system. He might still have a knife. He might have something else you don't know about. He might be stronger and you just got a lucky strike. So you want to end it as soon as you can. Bring it down, thrust, smash. Keep it simple. Simple as you can. Don't get fancy. That was number 2. The reason why your cane self-defense doesn't work. Bring it up the other one. Practice. Here. Thrust. Distance. And it's this big bar of oak going against his teeth, nose, eyes, throat, and you're just doing a push-up. You're very strong in this position. You don't have to be much stronger than the other person is because you're not going arm to arm. You're not wrestling him like a bear. You're taking this and you're sticking it in his nose, mouth, eyes. And he doesn't have big muscles in there. Even if he does, big muscle face or something, not strong enough to stop the devastation of that piece of oak. And then right on top for self-defense. Now I've got one more combination. Let me review that one real quick though. Because I want you to, and if you haven't written these down, go back, watch this again and write it down. From here, bring it to here, push, and thrust. The knee to the groin works sometimes. I've done self-defense seminars for so long and trained for so long. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I've never had anybody put me on the ground with a groin strike. And of course, I was wearing gear and all the other stuff. I felt them. And yeah, they were hard, and I've had some hard strikes, but it was never incapacitating. And you're going to find that a lot of people, especially if you follow people like Tim Larkin, that's a misnomer. That's something that we thought was a real thing. every boy who's ever had that experience knows. Now, that doesn't mean that won't stick them on the ground, but that's a big piece of wood, right? The groin, because the adrenaline's pumping, so they don't even know you hit them there sometimes. Here, that you could break, you could separate, you could crack that bone with this hard piece of oak. That's why it's a little bit different. Yeah, I know you're right. You're right, Roy. I wasn't trying to say you're wrong. I was just saying that my experience with groin strikes is that if I had a choice between a groin strike and trying to pull their skin off their face and smash it through, if it were a choice, if we're one or the other, the groin strike works a little bit. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. It's not good, not bad. It's just different. Maybe that's the best target. Number 5. The last one, this is because I want you to practice what happens if the attack is on the side or behind you, is from here, from this position, and this works either hook back or crook forward. Either way. Yeah, good point. Is from here, just bring it to the other hand, just by turning it up, right? So you're going to turn it up, practice strike here, let your hand slide, strike here, step back with one, always look, step back with the other, and look. And let me show you again from the side. I just bring it up to the other hand. I go body to one side, bring your body to the other side. Once you get in the habit of stepping into the attack and stepping into the attack when you can, that'll generate maximum force, and then stepping back and strike, stepping back and strike. I'll show you from this side. It doesn't matter which hand it's in. Just bring it to one hand, push to one side, push the other side, strike with one, strike with the other one. And the idea is you're just stepping back and in. If someone's hands are around your neck from behind, turning this way, turning that way. What most people do when their neck's hands on it, they try to go forward, which gives them more leverage, and they really get you. If instead you turn in to see what's happening, turn. A lot of people don't know this. I'm going to show you this real quick. And this isn't the only solution, but if I push in here, you can hear it closes my windpipe, right? If I turn my head to the side, it opens my windpipe. Someone's hands are on you from the front of the back on you, they're choking you and can't breathe. Turn your head. You just moved it. You moved your windpipe and you opened it back up. Super simple. You got to do more than that. That's not going to stop the whole fight. But that could be enough. If the attack's here, strike, strike, stepping in, and practice that. That was the 5th combinations. Practicing combinations will start to help you address that 5th reason why your cane self-defense just won't work, but how to fix it. Number 5 is hesitation. Too much thinking. Time feeds fear. Time feeds anxiety. Time feeds all of the negative things in life. Depression. Taking action kills it immediately. Take action on every fear you've got. Take some action. So if there's fear, the guy's coming up, bam! But you've got to practice it and use visualization. Imagine the person is here. Smash. Slow as smooth, smooth as fast. Crawl, walk, run. Walk through it. Walk through it. Walk through it. When I had the occasion to do special training with special groups, and we were doing room clearing training, we would literally, in a warehouse, put tape on the ground to represent walls in the target that we would go assault at some point and have to clear the rooms. And then get in the stack. First person, second person, fourth person, hand in the back. And then this person goes right, and this person goes left, and this person goes down, and this person goes up. And then we go, and you tap this guy, and this, and then you did it over, and you made mistakes over and over and over. But then gradually made less and less mistakes. And then you're going faster, and you're going faster, and then you put blanks and the suppressor, and then you practice that. Or sometimes the airsoft rifles or the paintballs, and you practice with simunition, right? And then you go live, and that's how you practice. Crawl, walk, run. That's where that comes from. That's a military term. That's what you're doing with these 5 combos. So go back and watch these combos again. That's how you fix the 5th problem. They're all related. The 5 reasons you can't defend yourself with walking cane and how to fix them. Number 1, People see spinning and they misunderstand it to think that that's the self-defense. That's just conditioning, the same way a boxer jumps rope and punches bags and chases the chicken in the Rocky movies. Number two, relying on super fancy, complicated techniques, angles, joint locks, pressure points, when what you really need to do is go for the eyes, go for the brain, go for the neck, go for the knee. Keep it simple. Simple is always better. Depends. Here's why I say, he said Marines are harder than the Army. Different jobs, depends on what the jobs are. But what you realize is, like, when it comes to like special forces training, guys training for selection, Marines were they were hard, tough dudes. But the hard thing about the Marine Corps, and all the Marines that I talked to who did this training with me agreed. It was easy because in the Marine Corps, they'll beat you if you don't do it. Or they used to anyway. But in all these special units, they say, hey, you don't have to be here if you don't want to, because they really don't. They want you to be self-selecting. They call it big boy, big girl rules. They don't want you to be there if you're just a knucklehead. They want you to really be there. They don't want to have to beat you to make you do your job. And that's where the biggest difference came in. Yeah, these guys can take a lot of beating, but at this highest level, if you ever get a chance to work with operators on that highest level, people who truly take personal responsibility for every aspect of their job, it's amazing. It's amazing. You know, everybody doing the best they can because it's their job. It's a whole different experience when you do it. Cool. Love engineers. All right, so number three, weak strikes. Strikes with no commitment don't work. Always practice going full speed. So once you practice your strikes, especially these combinations, go slow and then start to speed it up a little faster until you get full speed, full power, and then visualize in your head what happens to the bad guys in the self-defense situation. So you make those mental anchors. So when you have to, you go full in when you defend yourself. Number four, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Get rid of the dogma. There's so much dogma in martial arts. That's why self-defense is not martial arts. Dogma of martial arts say that Wing Chun can beat the boxer because Wing Chun can beat everything because they have the... No, it's not true. In self-defense especially, because the situation is never the same. There might be, and you never know what's going to happen. So you have to be prepared with principles first. Principles over techniques. First principle, situational awareness. Second principle, get in a better position. Third principle, what are the targets? Ask yourself, what are the targets I'm going to remove or destroy? Then take a deep breath and then go all in. Commit to your strikes. And then the fifth reason why your self-defense with a cane won't work ever, will never work. Self-defense, cane self-defense doesn't work unless you fix hesitation. If you hesitate, no self-defense works. Even if you're a concealed carry person, hesitation will destroy you. So you've got to train hesitation out. That's the solution. That's the fix. Those are the 5 reasons that your cane self-defense doesn't work and what to do to fix them. 5 fixes for that. If you didn't see the whole thing, go back and watch it again. Thank you for being here. Thank you to all the new members. And remember, I'm going to give away one of these canes, not one of the used ones, one of the brand new ones still in the package. I'll pay for shipping to one of my members. In this month, if you're a member this month, on April 15th, I'm going to pull some names out of a hat and I'm going to give away one of those 2-section staffs, the ones that screw together, a bow staff that you can practice as collie sticks, you can practice as a sword, you can practice inside. It's shorter, you can pack it in your bags, take it on vacation, take it on business travels. So I'm going to give that away April 15th. I made a video on that yesterday. And then the next month, May 15th, we're going to pull a name out of the hat and I'm giving away a rattan dojo training cane. I've had this one over a year, I beat it to death, and it's still going. It takes a licking, keeps on kicking. It's a great way to start. They're super fast. They're extremely fun to practice. If you want to get into the combat cane spinning, if you want to learn cane kata or whatever else, that's a good option, a good way to go. If you want to see what these things cost, the links are below. Please subscribe if you haven't done so, share, and I'll see you guys.